Hello, good people. This is Shadi of Tuition Chat, and I want to get into a topic. So, someone commented that isn't divination, specifically tarot, um, spoke about against in the Bible. And so, I want to get into some of that conversation to explain some things. Now, first of all, pray directly to the Most High God. There are some videos that I have dissecting the celebrity status of Jesus and how some forms of Christianity, not all, because there is the original Christianity created in Ethiopia. However, there are different versions. And so, with one of the versions of Christianity, it is the following of Christ, the following of the sacrificial lamb, the following of Jesus, which even in biblical reference states that he is the Son of God. So someone has to be the Father. And so therefore the Most High God is the Father. And you can put them side by side, which they're not comparable. However, if you have to do a visual analysis on the two energies, you can see one is downloaded into a physical form, which is Jesus. So I'll just talk about some of the descriptors that make up Jesus. He's in a physical form. He has powers that are given to him by the Most High God to perform these miracles, to show God's magnificent power, and it's really only a portion of it. So for people around to be amazed, it really just shows that they don't really understand the magnitude of the Most High God, okay? Also, he is of only one sex. God can come down in a feminine form or a masculine form. He created both forms. There's no form that is less than the other. They're just different, okay? They have different missions, they have different powers, etc. So, with that, Jesus was able to perform those miracles through the Most High God's power. Now, if you look over to the side of God, God is infinite. It cannot be contained into one physical vessel. That's why he gave his only begotten Son, not his whole self, to be crucified. God was not crucified. A lot of things would not occur on the planet if God was to actually download his entire self into a physical body, because he would be touchable. The flesh is considered already sin because it goes through a process. It goes through a desecration process. It goes through a growth process. In the sense of, you're not your 3-year-old self. You're connected to your 3-year-old self, your energy, but you are not that 3-year-old in the sense of who you currently are present day. That's only a part of you, okay? So God is not Jesus. That separation needs to be made. There are other angels that are identified in biblical texts, and so therefore you need to also respect them. And to respect them, you respect the Father, which is the Most High God, which is your Father, okay? So respecting the Most High God, you follow your chain of command. Following your chain of command, praying directly to the Most High God, the Omnipotent, the Almighty, Elohim, Oluwa, Allah, okay? You pray directly to the Most High God, and the Most High God will charge the angels to do their work. Those are the ones that are more communicative, because God already has the lesson plan, already has the blueprint, so he just sends the angels out to do that work. If he has to, or it has to intervene itself, it's a lot of different pieces that are going to be in play. Okay, so with divination, there are these different tools that are used to paint the picture, to send the message. We're out in nature. Whatever thoughts that you have going on currently, you can look across the water. You can see like fish jump or turtle snap or hummingbirds or bees or the sky, and get messages from there. With divination, you're actively using these tools to gain insight, okay? And so these tools confirm your intuition, confirm already what's going on. So there is a bit of predictive analysis because the angels are able to see farther. They're at a higher I like to think of it as a higher altitude. When you think of like hawks and eagles, we humans are on the ground and we're interacting with each other, even if we're on a plane. Okay, we're still considered on the ground. So we're interacting with one another. The angels have more foresight and also are cued into what's going on in other people's lives that affect you. And so they can give you messages. And so when you use divination tools, and one of the tools I use is tarot, you're able to cue in on those words, those symbols, those images here in outside of the garden, basically, because even though we're outside of the garden, we're still in God's realm. We're still here with him. There are some fallen angels and people that have followed darkness, and even those people that have followed darkness can eventually, repent and restore themselves. But that's going to take a lot of work, and that comes with their communion, their intimacy with Most High God, with Spirit. Okay, so I'm going to get into some of the imaging on tarot to show you how it's used and where the God element comes into play. Now, first of all the materials on the planet God has created. It's just in how we form or fuse those things together to create what we're creating. Okay, so we can decide to make magic, beauty, love, or we can decide to make darkness, sadness, and destructiveness. Okay, and so again, like starting from the top, these cards, these things are of the planet. And with our foremothers and fathers, they had more of a connection because it was less interruptions with different radio waves of, internet, of information, of buildings that do not allow the sun to penetrate. There's no like plant life around. So there's a lot of different distractors that take away from receiving direct messaging. Okay, so this is like a calling card, I like to say. A calling card to the spiritual realm. You hear and you're tapped in all the time. However, sometimes when giving these messages to someone else, it's good to have like something on record so they can see it and feel it and touch it, versus a person just coming across and saying like, I'm a prophet, I'm a reader, this is what I'm seeing in your life. You're less likely to trust that person. Yet if you have a physical card to show, like, let's pull out a random 7 of Wands, right? About maybe you needing to put your defenses up. However, you having the higher ground. The evidence proves that you're innocent. Just continue to defend yourself. Stand in your power. Now, if I would have said this without the card, people probably look like, you saying I gotta protect myself. Who out here? Who's that? This card doesn't necessarily tell me who these individuals are. However, I can go further in the deck. Maybe somebody you're married to. This 4 of Wands represents union, okay? Union is divine itself. Like I said, the Most High God can download itself a portion, really tiny portion of itself into a body. It's Adam and Eve in a garden. Not Adam and Eve and Steve. Not Adam and Eve and Tasha. Not all these orgies and flippity floppity, all this stuff going on. It's Adam and Eve and that triple braided cord, which is a braid. Okay, they always say triple braided cord. It's a braid. God, Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve represents man and woman. However you want to flip that, I could get into, relationships and designs when it comes to homosexuality, gender identification. We can get into that in another video. If you're actually interested in it, please drop a comment below so I can figure out if I'm going to actually put energy into creating a video surrounding that. Okay, so yeah, imaging on the cards. Let's see. Okay, here's one card that I know people are afraid of. They're afraid of the death card and they're afraid of the devil card in the tarot deck. Death is inevitable. So it's showing here, even the Pope, even children, people that got money, it does not matter who you are. If it's your time, especially if it's come to where the Most High God has said, hey, you have not done what you need to do on this planet. You're wrecking things for other people. You're impeding on their peace, their life, their joy, their relationships. You might have to be scooped up off the planet. And for people to be afraid of the death card is really interesting, because it's like that is part of our life. Now, our spirit will live on. Where our spirit will live is based off of the things that you do on this planet. Is your spirit light as a feather to where it can ascend to higher heights, to where you can actually be in the realm with the angels versus the fallen angels? And then there's archangels, okay, even higher. And they're charged with a higher mission and higher duty, because while they were on this planet, they conducted themselves a certain way. So I believe there are angels that are just angels. There are hybrids. You see that in a whole lot of different movies and comics displaying these things. And when you're really tapped in, you can see the signs, symbols, and synchronicities in almost any and everything. Even if some of the things aren't true. Like the story of, what's the guy that with the infinity rings? Well, I want to say Voltron. Hold on. I know it's not Voltron. But let me see why I thought Voltron. First of all, who is that? Sounds like a that's interesting. So it says Voltron is an animated television series franchise that features a team of space explorers who pilot a giant super robot known as Voltron. But then also here it says, why is Voltron controversial? The series is criticized for its LGBT representation. The show was criticized for killing off a gay character, with some saying the show was following the stereotype known as burying your gays. Okay, listen. We'll talk about the gay part for just a little bit. But let me know if you want me to go into details. Now, because the Most High God can come down into any physical form, man or woman is the standard. There are things that happen on the planet that can switch that. Genetics, things that we come across in our air, water, our food, our soil, etc., can alter that genetic genotypes, okay? And so if you look at XX is women, okay? 2 X's, boom, boom, right? I need to write it out so you can see. Right? This is woman, right? When energy is sent to break a portion of the X, because there has to be a blueprint, right? To break a portion of the X and have organs rearrange themselves, be charged with different functions, you create the XY, okay? So the breaking of that X creates XY. Now, some people, especially males, and I get it is a struggle for you to like understand, because it's like things again with the Bible are taught that men are the superior, that from his rib a woman was created, Eve was created. However, you got to look at what's actually happening on the planet. Like, you can't just live in fairy tale stories, even though a lot of fairy tales have a lot of truth to them. You have to dig for the truth. Okay, so think about it. Like, relax your mind, put your biases to the side, and actually listen to what I'm saying. There are beings on the planet called hermaphrodites, hermaphrodite, okay? And so those individuals are in between XX and XY. How can you get in between if there's no origin? I'm just saying. Doctors, scientists have even said in vitro, in the womb, everyone starts out as a blueprint as female. When that energy is introduced, portion of the X is broken, that child starts to develop into a male child. Now, if there's not enough energy, there's blockers, there's toxins, there's pollutants, there's hazards. There's not enough energy to break it, so it doesn't develop all the way into a male. It's in between. And so those things, we shouldn't ostracize those people because it's still God's children. However, when you're taking someone that's fully formed into a male, or fully formed into a female, male or female, fully formed into themselves, you should not be cutting your body parts to try to fit into another spectrum. And it's interesting because it's like, accept us for who we want to be. But that was really for the hermaphrodites. It wasn't for transgenders, of people that are actually downloaded completely, have functioning cells and organs to be placed that way. It was for the individuals that do not have proper imaging on who they are because they're stuck in the middle. So a being that maybe have more breast tissue or less of a penis or more of a vagina or less of a cheek, all these different things help the individual say, hey, this is the imaging that I want to go for, and even how they feel or how they want to identify and show up in the world. That's really the mission and the process that should be happening there, not what's going on presently. Not what's going on, not this Frankenstein project, not these issues with surgeries and people trying to go back and revert to their original selves because they're unhappy. The surgeries are botched. The nerves are dead. They're not able to enjoy pleasure. None of these things. Sickness, having to take a bunch of pills, hormone blockers, hormone inducers, all these types of things, okay? So hopefully I've touched on that enough. And back to divination. Okay, so again, the death card people are afraid of. The devil card. The devil is something we have to be aware of. For myself, I've always just been like, oh, I want to improve my psychic abilities. I want to include my connection with the Most High God in everything that I do to ensure that it is on the right track. Like, it's been interesting this semester because yes, I believe in the Most High God. Yes, I'm a follower. Yes, I'm a believer. However, I kind of put that to the side when it came to conversations, when it came to interactions, because I didn't want to be seen as like, I don't know, it's weird. As I think about it, it's like, what? It's like denying. If you don't say something, if you don't move in that energy, it's almost like denying. It's like, I have my personal intimate relationship, but how can I have a personal intimate relationship with the Most High God, the omnipotent, the omnipresence, and not interact with everybody in that same light and manner? That's something I had to really learn. And so with divination, I'm able to really answer some of my own questions. I think everyone should have a nice deck of cards to help them clarify if they're really confused. Now, I'm moving into a stage where I got to move away from tarot cards a little bit, because every time I'm like, ask a question. However, even though this is good, a great communicator, one of the great communicators, because there's a lot of different divination. There's like palmistry. You can read people's face. You can read so many different things. And I just feel like I want to develop my skills without materials. Like I want to be, and I will be so tapped in that I can hear the Most High God. I can hear the angels in my daily walking life, that I don't have to pull out cards. And I do hear the Most High Power, the angels. However, sometimes I can get distracted by other chitter chatter. And divination can be chitter chatter, because the Most High is infinite. There's 78 cards in this deck. It does a great job at attempting to paint that entire picture. That's the reason why when I do readings, I try not to go past like 12 cards, because I think about ratios and percentages. About 12 cards of each deck. I use other tools. I even use this taboo deck, which is just like cards, amnesia, forget memory, remember head, jock, start school, sports, play. Right. I use these. Those give me additional clues and cues as to what's going on. However, you have to go with what's physically there, and it goes back to the garden. Adam and Eve, they didn't have no clothes on. They weren't flipping cars. They were seeing things directly in nature. And so I think the negative side is like how people interpret divination, tarot, also their dependency on it, also the reader. If the reader isn't of the light, the reader will shift the message to fit whatever they want to fit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they will. And eventually, gotta get their ass for lying. That's why it's good to stay prayed up, ask for clarity, ask for guidance, so that way you can move into your most authentic self with those tools. Because when you go to a reader and you get that information, it's just another tool in your tool bag. Like, you already know, you've already set to go to San Tropez. That's the one that came out. You already know you're going on a trip to San Tropez. And I'm going to look that up too, because why I didn't think that. Your trip is already to San Tropez. Okay, it's in France, right? Right? So you already booking your trip to go there. You already got all the tools and stuff you need, but you're just trying to ensure that maybe are you going to really have fun there? Are you? And then like you ask a question and it clarifies. Like, yeah, you'll have fun, but ensure that you wear sunscreen, because some areas might affect your skin and you don't think it's going to affect your skin. Something like that. It's just like these little different nuances. Media and different movies like boasted up so much that people are like, wow, oh my goodness. A lot of times if a person is like that, it's because either they're not tapped in, or they have been denying all the signs, symbols, and synchronicities. They've been denying it. So for a reader to tell them something, they're just like, what? For real? I knew those things, but I just kept going in the wrong direction. The wrong direction is darkness. It's hating somebody. It's doing all these things. You just never win. You never win. The Most High God is always in control. Don't think, because it's dark and you put on a dark cover, you covenant with these people and everything. Don't say nothing, whisper, blah, 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 blah. God hears and sees everything. That's what be funny. That's what be funny. You know, how people want to say like, oh, Big Bang Theory and Big Bang Theory, and I don't believe in it. I want to be a atheist or whatever. Atheists can be converted as well. And I'm not here to convert anybody because, like I said, I believe in the Most High Power. Religions construct that energy to be of a set parameter. Now, there are some, the sins and things you shouldn't do that are great for people to kind of recollect because they're not processing this experience. But to be like, oh, you got to be Christian and you need to read your Bible. Yes, you need to read your Bible because these stories are on repeat. However, these stories are testimonials. And so, therefore, a person going through these situations where it becomes a testament, they weren't perfect either. So, like, how can you follow the Bible? The best thing you can do is pick up from other people's stories, their interaction with the Most High God, how they were having their communication, what they heard from the Most High God, and for them to apply it to their life. That's how you're supposed to be maneuvering with these different religions, is taking some of the information and process it in your own life, in your own community with the Most High God, in your daily waking life and your spiritual life. However, people use like religion to hold people to this certain standard, like feet to the fire, when it's like, unless you're going against other people, you're sacrificing animals, you're harming people. And it's interesting because the video kind of just shifted when I said sacrificing animals. Now, if you're consuming an animal for your nourishment, and I enjoy how other people around the world will eat an animal, they'll eat it from front to end. Listen, back to top, up, down, okay? And they're actually consuming those nutrients for nourishment of their body, not just out here killing a whole cow for a steak and then not even processing how much of the meat is going to waste and cutting back on how many animals need to be killed or sacrificed. Also, the treatment of those animals. Also, people doing ritualistic like blood magic. And again, we have to go in. We got to know this stuff to protect ourselves. Because for me, I had my blinders on. I don't do wrong by anybody. I'm always trying to be my most respectful self. There are explosions that I've had emotionally when it's like, you just don't get it. You don't understand. Especially people that I really love and care about. I want to guide and protect them. But it's like, I guess, especially because like older, not even older, I'll just say my mom. Because it's really just her. In this situation to where she almost like doesn't want to believe what I'm saying because I'm her child. And it's like, but you don't know my level of spirit. And I'm not trying to overstep your bounds because yes, you did raise me, you did care for me, you did nourish me coming up. However, for you just not to even want to listen, I'm just a messenger. So, let's see. Let's get out maybe 3 more cards. Okay, here's a star, right? So this also talks about alignment, and think about the story of Jesus again, right? So they had to follow a specific star to even locate Jesus. There are earth angels, there are divine beings on the planet, there are extraterrestrials, there are all these different entities that interact with us, regular degular folks on the planet. And so this star is healing, renewal, rejuvenation. Water is very powerful. Water contains messages, imaging. And so when you look at this picture, you can decipher these different messages and pull them into this realm to deliver to your client. A lot of this is intuitive. Each card has its own meaning starting out. However, when you get into the form of communicating, a lot of this is going to be intuition. In one reading, someone might feel like, okay, You need to maybe relax, spa treatment, pour into yourself. In another reading about finances is being able to balance these things, because you are the only balance here. And so therefore, if you're knocked off kilter, if you're overgiving, you won't have enough to give to someone. So it just depends on what message is actually coming through. Ooh, I love it. The High Priestess. This is an energy that I definitely identify with. Okay, so she is light and dark. She has the Torah in her hand. There's a moon by her foot. She is quiet. She is kind of like essentially secretive in a way, because she's getting direct downloads from the Most High God. Now at her head, that does look like representation of the goddess Hathor, the cow. And then on her chest there's a cross, and then there's a Torah. So it goes into different religions and those pieces of the religion that come into play when it comes to the Most High God, because all of these religions essentially are of that. Like, everything is of the Most High God. It's just how it's formed. Okay, even things that people consider to be evil, it sometimes is perception. Now there's some things that are outright just evil, like going around just killing and spraying people. That is just pure evil. However, someone may gather something out of that experience, and I don't want to go there too deep, because again, death is an interesting topic, because you can't come back from that, and so therefore people fear it, and it's like, oh, that's wicked, death. But what happens when you're 150 years old? Eventually you're gonna be off the planet. Okay, and then we have the Knight of Pentacles. And I'm glad this came out, because there are these families and communities. Okay, so let me rewind. There's the major arcana. The major arcana are like the angels, the heavy hitters, your ancestors, spirit guides, etc. Now, mind you, the entire deck, everything around is God. So when you're using these cards and the major arcana, God is shown throughout these cards as well. Okay. However, a specific ancestor may show up in your life to assist you with your dreams, passions, and goals. And so the Knight is the second from the last. Okay, starts out with the Page. It could be considered something else in another deck. Like, some decks have the son as the start, then the daughter, then the father, then the mother. This Knight is the second one. It goes from the Page, the Knight, the King, and the Queen. Okay, so this is slow moving stability energy. The Pentacle shown here is of material things, material wealth. Okay, so there's the Pentacle, the coin, the gold. You also have the Wands, which is passion, determination. You have the Water, which is intuition, communication, intellect. Well, spiritual intellect. Then you have the Swords, which is more of intellect, communication, clear, etc. So there's 4 suits, there are 4 families, and then outside of that you have the community, and this is what's shown in these cards because they're just numbers. Okay, the 7 of Wands, the 4 of Wands. This is considered the community. These are things that affect your picture, because it's not just you interacting. It's not just you going about things. It's also the network that you build, the people around you, how they influence you or do not influence you. Okay, so I did 6 cards from this deck. I'll just pull 3 out of this deck. This is the very end, the garden, the world. In traditional tarot, it's considered like a naked woman in the center, and then there are different energetic bodies around that influence her next cycle, okay, or his next cycle. And so for here, she's watering her garden. She has everything she needs, has a lovely house, home. She's actually outside in some nice shoes, a cute little outfit, nourishing oneself into the right direction. So this is a great new change, okay? Then you have the mother of baskets. The mother here also could be the queen of baskets. Now, she is represented like showing love all the time, no matter what date and time it is. She pulls you into her energy because she's loving, she's caring. And these are the archetypes. These are the personalities and the characteristics of people in our waking life. There's somebody that that's loving and caring and always on point. She's generous, she's loving, she has great energy about her. This is, how her energy is represented. And it could be male energy because these energies shift throughout. So a man could possess more feminine energy and not be gay. A woman can express more masculine energy and not want to be with a woman. So that's where you go into like energies versus sexual preferences, sexual desire, etc., etc. And then we have Bishop C.H. Mason here, represented as the Hierophant. And this imaging, like, he basically felt like he went kind of like to the underworld a bit, went into this interesting realm because he basically almost died, and that brought him closer to the Most High God. The Hierophant sits in a position, especially in the traditional tarot, he is usually represented as he, because if you think about, again, the disciples and how women were demonized in the Bible, men, especially with the whole warlock thing, again, light and dark, Hierophant is of the light, warlocks of the dark, that he sits in a position where he's able to commune with the Most High God directly, and it's always a yes or no, up or down, left or right. It's not all these other factors. So, and this also represents marriage too. It can represent marriage. So when this card comes up, it's like, it's a clear response. Okay. So that's 3 from there. I just wanted to show those because it's like, I like to look at it as my ancestor deck. Caroline at the bottom. She's a Wheel of Fortune. As you can see, there's a Caucasian man's hand. We still have those delineating factors because we do see in color. And so for this time period, for her to be in a Caucasian news feed, and they wanted to take pictures of her and everything, and look how she decked out in her own outfit. She has hearts and clubs represented here. So she also did a form of divination to get to the point where she is. God and the fallen angel gives gifts. The thing is, the fallen angel is not connected to the higher power, the ultimate source of energy, and so therefore needs other things to have energy. It needs other people to feed into it. It needs, especially divine beings, chosen ones, star seeds, generational curse breakers. It needs that energy to pull over into the dark side to revitalize this energy, and then it depletes that. And you see it in a lot of things with fairies and mystical beings always being drained of their energy, and that is that type of archetype. Okay, so I think I've talked enough about this here. If there's anything specifically that like maybe I just kind of glanced over and you want me to get further in depth about, I shall. I think I may do like a part 2 and 3 because it's a lot, and I want to bring out like books and definitions and occurrences and other resources. But I was up looking over my comments, and I was like, let me just go ahead and like put this out here because people do consider tarot like demonic. And if you think about like how the church is set, it's like it started to be formed. Like even Jesus went around to churches and was just like, y'all not doing this right. Y'all not doing my dad justice. our dad justice, right? And so it started moving into more of a monetary thing, construct of people, also to oppress women in a way that has them not being able to be their most full self. And I'm not talking about oppression of like, oh, a woman being subordinate to a man. Now, my ideas on that, again, a whole nother topic, is that women must be submissive in a way that allows that man to protect her. She cannot go toe to toe with another man of another stronger energy than herself. Well, I wouldn't say stronger energy, physically stronger. A woman isn't as physically strong as a male. So therefore, in the physical, she must submit herself so her man can come up and protect her, because those energies going back and forth aren't going to mesh well. For example, a man going up against another man to protect a woman. If that woman is interceding, now that man that is protecting you is going to be a little confused because he's trying to protect you, but you're stepping past the protective barrier into the line of fire. He's trying to protect you and fight off the assailant. It's too much going on. It's too much energy. It's too much to think about. So a woman needs to step back to allow her man to step forward. So that's where it comes to those different roles. Women have a lot of intuitive downloads directly from the Most High. Men get a lot of their information in dreams. And so therefore, a man covenants and protects a woman in the physical, protects her name, protects her physical, etc. So that way she can protect him in the spiritual. And she does that through prayer. She does that through her connection with the Most High Power. What she gives in that creativity. Women carve the path, men reinforce the path. Okay, and I'll leave with that to make this video not as long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. Please leave a comment below if there's something that you actually want to know. And I always encourage people, when it comes to a question, don't just put a question mark or I'm confused or what, huh? Like that's not good communication. And I'm bound to either glance over it or ask you to clarify yourself. Use interrogatives: who, what, where, when, why, how, and else, to explain what is going on. What do you mean by this? What is that? How is this? Who? All those different type of questions. Anyway, pray directly to the Most High God, for He is the omnipotent. It is the omnipotent, the omnipresence. And so therefore, don't go through an angel, definitely not a fallen angel, but don't go through any angel to get your requests met. You only praise and pray to the Most High God. God will charge the angels for that mission. Even the angels will respect you even more by going through the proper chain of command. So I love y'all. Stay prayed up. Pray for yourself. Pray for your family. All these different layers. Even pray for your enemies because they know not what they do. All right. I love y'all, and I'll talk to you later.